সুপ্রিয় দর্শক সবাইকে স্বাগত জানাচ্ছি টিভিএন 24 টেলিভিশন আয়োজিত নিয়মিত অনুষ্ঠান টিভিএন অ্যানালিসিস। আমি হাবিব রহমান আছি আপনাদের সাথে। আজ বেশ কিছু বিষয় নিয়ে আপনাদের সাথে কথা বলবো, অত্যন্ত গুরুত্বপূর্ণ। আমরা এই কথা যখন বলবো, আমি প্রথমেই স্ক্রিনে একটি অংশ তুলে ধরতে চাই আপনাদের সবার জ্ঞাতার্থে, যাতে করে আমরা সবাই দেখতে পারি যে আমরা কী নিয়ে আলোচনা করছি। আপনারা স্ক্রিনে দেখতে পাচ্ছেন বিওআই নিয়ে আলোচনা থাকবে, আমাদের আলোচনা থাকবে SBA লোন ফরগিভনেস, আমাদের আলোচনা থাকবে EITC ট্যাক্স ক্রেডিট, চাইল্ড ট্যাক্স ক্রেডিট। এরপরে যে বিষয়গুলো আমরা নিয়ে আলোচনা করব সেটি হচ্ছে আপনি বাড়ি কিনতে যাচ্ছেন, আপনার কী কী কাগজপত্র প্রয়োজন, কী কী লাগবে আপনার জন্য, কেন। আরেকটি হচ্ছে ইফ ইউ আর বাইং হোম, আপনার একটা রিয়েল এস্টেট এজেন্ট লাগবে, কিন্তু আপনি কীভাবে বুঝবেন যে এই রিয়েল এস্টেট এজেন্ট ইজ অ্যাকচুয়ালি কোঅপারেটিং উইথ ইউ, আপনার সাথে সহযোগিতা করছে। দের ইজ নো ওয়ে, কিছু সাইন আছে, আপনি দেখলে বুঝতে পারবেন যে না, এই মানুষকে দিয়ে আপনার কাজ হবে না, ইনি আপনার স্বার্থে কাজ করতেছে না। So we'll talk about all these things, and to discuss all these things and answer your question, I have Michael Motazzedi in the studio today again.
Thank you.
Welcome, and for making time. This is quite a few things. It's packed, so we're going to take one thing at a time. Where do we start? We have quite a few things. Do you want to start
with just BOI, and we'll just
we can go from there. I know you were looking into some of the latest update, so let's just start with the BOI. First of all, I want you to tell people what BOI is, why it was a big deal, and why there's where are we now today?
Okay, so I think it was a couple months ago when I was on the show, I mentioned that BOI was probably going to get tied up in a court order, which it just happened. So right now, you don't need to file it. What was it for? It's basically the states know who owns these companies, but the federal government does not. So it was actually to bring light to that. And it was also for, either like the Crimes Act or stuff like that, to see where the money's coming from and how much foreign investment. Right now, what's going on is it's tied up. You don't have to file. People who already filed, well, you did it already. Do I think what's going to happen with the court case? I mean, with the new presidency, I don't see it going anywhere. But if it does happen, whoever didn't file will just file. But there's no reason to file now because they're not penalizing anybody if you don't file.
Okay, so there's nothing to worry about this. I heard serious things where
the $500 a day late, right?
The $10,000 fine, one-time fine. $500 per day if you don't file within the deadline, and I think that was set like December 31st, and then 2 years of jail, and it just continues until you don't do it. So nobody has to worry about anything anymore.
No.
Okay.
That's exactly what I said like 3 months ago.
And then when you and I were talking, you mentioned that with the incoming administration coming in, there is not much to worry about. Why so?
I mean, it's real simple. The president has a lot of different companies still. And look, if we have to basically tell everybody who owns these businesses, well, we know this administration is not going to want to do so. Not to mention, this is not just one court case. There are multiple.
So, I mean,
right now the Treasury is trying to appeal it. Do I think it's going to go anywhere? No. And obviously, you guys all saw Trump's new pick for IRS.
Yes.
So I just don't see it being.
Who did it pick, by the way?
I forgot the guy's name. He basically wanted to abolish the IRS.
Okay, so it's not Powell anymore, or he's still there.
Not
Jay Powell, I'm talking about.
No, this is for IRS, not for Treasury.
Oh, not the Treasury Secretary. This is IRS. And I also know that he's firing Lina Khan, who's the FTC chairman.
Yeah, I read something.
Right. So she was after many companies, and I do think she was doing a good job because she's talking about the Amazon house. It's taking advantage of many things. Google needs to be broken down and all these things. So deregulations, basically, it comes down to.
Yeah.
So since the deregulation, BOI will most likely become irrelevant.
Exactly. Right. They wanted it to be a every year kind of thing. Because the feds don't know what's going on and only the states know it on the state level. That's really what it is. It's just transparency.
Right.
But
so next,
I don't see it happening.
Next item, and everybody, since we talked about last time about this one, was SBA loan forgiveness. I want to clarify a few things. One thing is SBA loan is not forgivable. That's what we hear from their website. Second is it's something that you must pay back, and that we talked about last time. Hey, there is a way you might get away with this.
That's correct.
And within the legal boundaries.
It is legal. It's actually in, if you read the 300 pages, when you guys originally got those SBA loans, it's been in there for 2 years.
Right.
Okay? It's not like hardship. Hardship, actually, there's a procedure in place. What I've been working with those two companies I mentioned last time, right, that really spent the money and they just didn't, the restaurants,
it didn't
right? Pile paperwork, writing proposals, everything else. Look, the people I spoke to in the SBA, look, they want to do this kind of stuff for the right people, but the problem comes down to is there's no real procedure, and they're all, with the new administration, people don't know where things are going to go.
Right. So what you're saying that
it exists. In that paperwork, it exists.
No, I'm not saying that it doesn't exist. It does exist, and I'm sure within the legal boundary it work out for some people. So what you're essentially saying, hey, if you are the right company, if you fall into the right criteria, you may qualify. Is this what you're saying?
Yes, but what's going on with the whole new administration and the whole shakeups, everyone's very afraid to do anything.
Currently.
Right. So I think that's what's also causing this standstill of where we're going to go.
Okay, so if I want to break it down to everybody who's listening, SBA loan forgiveness may happen, can happen, will happen, yes, most likely yes, but with the current incoming administration coming in and the Biden administration going out, there is a lot of things, these are standstill.
Yes, and also what also is happening is they tried to sell the EIDL loans off to private companies.
Yeah.
And they realized they're going to lose 30%.
Who's going to lose 30%?
U.S. government.
Okay.
So then it all kind of, yeah, of course.
That's going to be somewhere in trillions.
Yes.
All right, so that was
So that's another thing that's going on. There's just so many things happening at one time.
Right.
So right now I'm at a standstill with this. I have not, since we last spoke, I haven't got anywhere because of this.
So we'll talk about this when you get some update, and then hopefully we get some good updates and we get some process in place. Do you think it's going to?
I think it's going to end up being what I think this thing's going to be. It's not going to be like 100% forgiveness. You're going to have to do like a settlement.
Right. Tell me, kind of thing.
Like say I owe $100,000. I say, listen, I only spent this on this and this. I'll give you $20,000.
Right. It's not going to be 100%. It's not going to be 50%.
Let me go.
Let me go.
It's not PPP.
Okay, perfect. All right, good. So next up is EITC. What is EITC? What is happening with it? What should people know?
So what I've been seeing the last couple weeks is a lot of people brought in returns from other preparers, and they keep mentioning, hey, listen, I didn't get the earned income credits because of my home care.
Okay, so people are worried about their earned income credit.
They just didn't get it last year.
They didn't get last year.
Correct.
Many of them.
Many.
And I meant many. In your opinion and your observation and from your experience, what you have seen last year, দর্শক আপনারা যারা অনুষ্ঠানটি দেখছেন, গত বছর আপনারা অনেকেই আর্ন ইনকাম ক্রেডিট ট্যাক্স ক্রেডিটটি পাননি। আমার প্রশ্ন ছিল মাইকেলের কাছে, why they so I'm not a CPA, I'm not accounting expert, so layman's term.
Layman's terms is real simple is
why people give me a person, give me not naming a person, give me an example.
I'll give you a perfect example, right?
Okay.
Person came in this week, actually, and it said on his tax return that some other CPA prepared, it said earned income credit, no. And I look at the AGI, the adjusted gross income, I realized this person should qualify. I got 3 kids.
Okay.
Right? I was able to get that back for him. But he had no clue.
In dollar amounts, how much that would be?
Like it was like $5,000.
Okay. So I want to translate.
Because it's also, he got money back from IRS and he got money back from New York State. So you lost two credits.
So what you're saying, this person come to you, who actually you looked at the tax filing, and you said you're supposed to get $5,000 back in this way. You are missing that one.
Correct.
So the earned income credit was not applied properly, and she was.
It was just taken away. It was
taken away, not applied at all. So, and she got $5,000 more back. So people who are watching, right? What would you tell them?
I would tell you guys, if you guys think your tax return was a little short last year, because that's how most of them figured it out.
Okay.
And it's just been one friend, and everyone's coming in with this, right? And it's actually a very easy fix. because you are entitled to it. And it's all the same story. It's the people who got the home care deduction, they were the ones missing the earned income credit.
Okay, so I need to translate this. So, but before the translation, I need to clarify a few things.
Sure.
So you're saying if you are doing home care, and if you have child, right, you are the one who's missing out $2,000 or $3,000 if you have one kid, or you have two kids, then more than that. And it's because not knowing the process properly.
That's correct.
But you are entitled to.
You are entitled to it.
So I understood it correctly.
Very much.
So let me translate that into Bangla. Okay, I think because this is going to help a lot of people. আপনারা যারা অনুষ্ঠানটি দেখছেন, আপনারা যারা হোম কেয়ার করে থাকেন এবং আপনারা হোম কেয়ার করার ফলে আর্ন ইনকাম ট্যাক্স রেট পান না অনেক সময় বিভিন্ন কারণে এটা ক্লেম করা হয় না। কেন করা হয় না আই ডোন্ট নো। মাইকেল মোতাজিদি যেটি বলছেন যে আপনারা এন্টাইটল এটার জন্য। আপনি যদি আপনার দুটি বাচ্চা থেকে থাকে আপনার হোম কেয়ার করার পরেও আপনি আর্ন ইনকাম ক্রেডিটটি পেতে পারেন। দ্যাট কুড বি লাইক $3,000, $4,000 you're missing, or $5,000 missing kids. Right? Is that what you said?
Yeah, because you got an earned income credit from the IRS.
Right.
You also get an earned income credit from the city of New York and the state of New York.
Correct.
So when you combine it, it's a lot of money.
Okay, perfect. So I have a question, but I'm gonna pose it a little bit later. Okay. Okay. So our next topic. What was our next topic? After that, we talked about the earned income credit, $3,600 child tax credit.
Correct. That's the proposed amount.
Okay. What is it? Just to clarify, where are we today, and what's going to happen this year? Do you think, or do you believe it's about to happen?
I don't think it's going to exactly happen. This was more like, okay, this was the expanded tax credit that we had in like COVID time, 21, 22, right? Remember the extra money you got, $300 a month, right? That's what it was that's what it's about. But look, this was when the basically Biden administration was in play, right? You got a new administration. Right. We don't know where the rules are really going to go. You got the child tax credit, you got the additional tax credit, right? So it's $2,000 and $1,600. That's how you get to it, right? So we don't really know. It's very conflicting what I've been reading.
Yeah. So whatever you have learned so far, what does it look like?
It just looks like right now I haven't seen them actually voting on it to expand it. I think as we get closer to tax season, we'll have a much better idea.
All right.
I would tell you definitely still right now it's like $2,000 kid.
Okay, so
it's still there.
It's not $3,600, it's $2,000,
right?
Give or take.
Figure whatever we got last year, we can only do better.
Okay,
we're not going to do worse.
Okay, that's a good thing. Now, since we are on a tax topic, I know we're going to talk about real estate and we're going to talk about real estate brokers and all these things. There are good reasons for this. Before we do that, I want to see the second part of it. If we can see on the screen. আমরা কি অন স্ক্রিনে দেখতে পারি? এটা আমি একটু পরে এটা আমরা দেখেছি এর পরেরটি যদি আমরা একটু দেখি. Okay, so right now this is the one we're going to go a little bit later. I want you to I want everybody to see it, right? But before we go there, this tax year, that's upcoming tax year 2025, which people are going to file for 2024, right? Do you think it's going to be vastly different from last year when they filed for 2023? And if so, there are a couple scenarios that I'm going to create. One, an individual. One could be a family with two child, right? And then a family with home care and child, right? And then you have small businesses. So I'm going to kind of like a compartmentalized, right? So if you look at these things and knowing, Trump and his administration, what they may or may not do, we don't know. But essentially, 2024 rule remains intact for 2025 until something drastic happens.
Correct.
Right? What do you see how it plays
It's not going to be in this coming year that you're going to see this real change. You're going to say, okay, are these tax credits going to be extended? Which I think so.
Okay, so fundamentally,
it should stay the same for the next couple of years.
Right. What is that I'm hearing about the $600
so that's the same thing. That's so remember last year with Venmo, PayPal, they didn't
all the third-party processors.
Correct, except for Zelle, guys.
Right, except for Zelle. Zelle, you don't have to worry about it.
Yes, Zelle is important. Okay, but anything that's like takes the money, holds it, and then gives it to you, like PayPal, right? Because like you're going to send it to PayPal, PayPal is going to send it to this person, right? That's the people that need to report. So So it's Cash App, it's PayPal, it's Venmo, what other ones they got,
So,
right? So anything more than $600, you're going to have to report.
Okay, so that only applies for the small businesses or individuals?
So that's where we still don't have clarity either on.
Okay, so
and then we're trying to say, okay, how do I prove to you that, hey, listen, this was because we went to dinner?
Right.
Right?
Right.
So.
Okay, I get it. We have a caller.
Sure.
Let's take them before we go. কে আছেন আমাদের সাথে ফোনে? হ্যালো?
Yes, hello?
হ্যাঁ, শুনছি, বলুন।
Hello?
হ্যাঁ, শুনছি, বলুন।
ট্যাক্স আমি আলম বলতেছি কুইন্স থেকে আপনাদের ট্যাক্সের ব্যাপারে যে কথা বলতে চাইছিলাম আমরা একটা কাজের জায়গা থেকে বাই আউট পাইছিলাম।
কাজের জায়গা থেকে কি পেয়েছিলেন?
আমাদের হোটেল শাটডাউন হওয়ার পরে আমরা একটা বাই আউট পাইছিলাম, যে বাই আউট মানিটা ওইটা আমরা ট্যাক্সের।
আপনি টেলিভিশনের সাউন্ড আপনি কমিয়ে ফেলুন। হ্যাঁ, আপনি রিপিট শুনছেন। আপনি টেলিভিশনের সাউন্ডটি একেবারে কমিয়ে ফেলুন, তারপর আপনি প্রশ্নটি করুন। আমার মনে হয় আমি বুঝেছি, তারপর একটু শুনে নিই আপনার প্রশ্নটি।
ওকে, আমরা একটা কাজের জায়গা থেকে আমরা বাই আউট
পেয়েছিলাম।
বাই আউট অ্যামাউন্টটা হিউজ অ্যামাউন্ট, যেটা ওইটা আমাদেরকে 1099 মিসেলেনিয়া হিসাবে তারা পে করছে।
জি,
অ্যাকচুয়ালি আমাদের হোটেলটা শাটডাউন হওয়ার পরে ওইটা দিছে। তো ওইটা কি আমাদের ট্যাক্সেবল নি, ট্যাক্স পে করা লাগে?
হ্যাঁ, মানে এটার এফেক্ট আপনার ট্যাক্সের উপর কেমন পড়বে এটা জানতে চাচ্ছেন আপনি?
হ্যাঁ, আর আরেকটা জিনিস হচ্ছে এটার মধ্যে অনেকে আমাদের হোটেলের ওই ট্যাক্স পুরাটাই তারা রিফান্ড পেয়ে গেছে, যেটা ফেডারেল এবং স্টেট নিয়ে গেছে। আমরা অনেক লোক আবার ওইটা পাই নাই। ওইটা কেন, অথবা তারা কেন পাইলো আর আমরা পাইলাম না?
আচ্ছা,
কি কোনো এরো আসেনি মনে করেন আপনি?
আমি আপনার প্রশ্ন বুঝতে পেরেছি। আপনার প্রশ্ন অনুসারে আমি আপনার প্রশ্নটি তুলে ধরবো, কিন্তু মনে রাখবেন একটি জিনিস, সবার ইন্ডিভিজুয়াল সিচুয়েশন ডিফারেন্ট হয়ে থাকে। যারা
100%
রাইট, তো মনে করেন তাদের ফ্যামিলি সাইজ,
বাই আউটের যে ট্যাক্সটা ডিডাক্ট করে নিছে আর কি, যেটা ফেডারেলে দে fully refund this amount from the federal and the state.
আচ্ছা, বুঝতে পেরেছি।
Whatever they deduct from it, they just give them exact amount.
আচ্ছা,
so আমাদের এই ক্ষেত্রে
আচ্ছা, আপনাকে একটা প্রশ্ন করি। আপনাদেরকে 1099 দেওয়া হয়েছে এন্ড তাদেরকেও 1099 দেওয়া হয়েছিল, রাইট?
কারেক্ট।
তো ডিডাক্টটা হলো কোথা থেকে?
এই যেমন 1099 যখন দিছে, this is for example is 100,000, somebody gets 170,000.
হ্যাঁ,
so this they had the tax, they withhold ধরেন 30,000.
আমার কথাটা একটু প্লিজ আমার কথাটা একটু বোঝার চেষ্টা করেন। আপনি যখন একটা চেক পাবেন, আপনাকে যখন 1099 দেওয়া হবে বছর শেষে, এইটার তো কোনো ডিডাকশন নাই। এটা তো আপনি যখন ট্যাক্স ফাইল করবেন তখন এটা আপনি উল্লেখ করতে হবে। ডিডাকশনটা হলো কোথা থেকে সেটা জিজ্ঞেস করছেন?
না, that's why আমি বলতেছি যে buyout amount.
What he's saying is he got the money on the 10 million miscellaneous, there's a withholding.
Supposed to pay us with the W2.
আচ্ছা, বুঝতে পেরেছি। আপনার প্রশ্নটা কি?
They did 1099, which is this.
I got it. বুঝতে পেরেছি। আপনার প্রশ্ন হচ্ছে আপনার কি হবে এবং তারা কেন ফেরত পেল পুরাটা, আপনি কেন পেলেন না, এই তো?
Correct. Right.
Okay, বুঝতে পেরেছি। Okay, so if you let me explain to you. I think you got the story.
Yeah, of course.
There was a buyout where he used to work because the
hotel went away, right?
So let's say it's $100,000, right? So he had other workers with him, friends and families. They also got that money. But at the end of the day, whatever that was taken out from their check, they got the entire refund back, and he did not. So where is the discrepancy here?
I gotta see everything. Look, it's true. I gotta see everything.
That's exactly what I was asking.
But I will say this. I saw this last year.
Yeah.
Okay, and there was a lot of things happening with like unions and stuff like that. And people were literally getting messed up on their taxes because of the way they got these forms. So look, I'm gonna say the same thing I'm gonna say to you. Look, just come into my office, give me a call. I want to see all the information, and then I can tell you and see if we can rectify it.
Right. So
it's that simple.
আপনার উচিত হবে স্পিক টু মাইকেল, আপনার মাইকেল অফিসে যে, অথবা আপনি যে কোনো একটা ভালো সিপি এর সাথে বসে কথা বলতে পারেন, বাট আপনার পুরো সিনারিওটা বোঝার জন্য কাগজপত্র দেখতে হবে। ইউ ক্যানট জাস্ট অ্যান্সার বেসড অন হোয়াট উই হিয়ার।
I just need to see it.
Yeah, you need
exactly.
to see it. So I just told him that.
But look, if your friends also got all the money back, it's worth investigating.
Definitely. But you know, these are the things causes problems, because they're not supposed to give you 1099.
Of course not.
You know, it should not be that way. It should be just cashed because it's a big company. It should be just given in on a W2
Yeah, but it's the
form.
way it's done. That's why.
Okay, fine. Well, but we have another caller. Let's
Yeah,
take
go
that
ahead.
call. কে আছেন আমাদের সাথে?
জি হাবিব ভাই, সালাম আলাইকুম।
ওয়ালাইকুম সালাম। জি বলুন।
কেমন আছেন ভাই?
জি আমি ভালো আছি, আপনি কেমন আছেন?
কি ইনশাআল্লাহ ভালো আছি। আপনি সুস্থ থাকলে আমরা ভালো থাকি আর কি। যাই হোক, আমার একটা প্রশ্ন হলো, এটা আমরা তো হোম কেয়ার খাইতেছি,
জি
এখন আমি কি ট্যাক্স ফাইল করতে পারবো?
অবশ্যই পারবেন, কেন পারবেন না? আপনার আসল প্রশ্নটা কি?
এইটাই।
আচ্ছা, আপনি শুধু কি হোম কেয়ার করেন, আর কিছু করেন নাই তো?
না।
আপনি কি আচ্ছা নিউ ইয়র্ক স্টেট?
জি
জি আচ্ছা, ঠিক আছে। ওকে, আমার মনে হয় আপনার প্রশ্ন উত্তর পেয়েছে। আপনি কিন্তু একটু মনোযোগ দিয়ে শুনবেন। মাইকেল আপনার প্রশ্নের উত্তরটি দেবে, অ্যান্ড আমি তারপরে আই উইল ট্রাই টু ট্রান্সলেট। আপনি একটু মনোযোগ দিয়ে শুনবেন, হ্যাঁ? সো
He's got home care. He lives in New York State. I got that.
Right. So he wants to file. Should he file tax? Can he file tax? And what can he expect?
So basically, of course, we all know with the home care, as long as you're taking care of the person that lives in the same house as you, right? So whatever that federal withholding you see on the top left-hand corner, top right-hand corner, sorry, of your W-2, you can get that money back, as well as you look at New York State and New York City, you should get that money back as well.
Okay, so আপনার প্রশ্নের উত্তরটা খুবই সিম্পল। আপনি ট্যাক্স ফাইল করবেন, অ্যাবসলিউটলি করবেন। আপনি ট্যাক্স রিটার্ন পাবেন, অবশ্যই আপনি ট্যাক্স রিটার্ন পাবেন। আপনার যে ফর্মটি পাবেন তার উপরে যেটা নিউ ইয়র্ক স্টেট এবং ফেডারেল যেটি আছে, আপনি সেটাই রিটার্ন পাবেন। আপনি অবশ্যই ট্যাক্স ফাইল করবেন, এবং আপনি রিফান্ডও পাবেন। কাজে আপনার চিন্তার কোনো কিছুই নেই। So I mean, simple thing, but you know,
it's very easy with the home care deduction. If you look at those three things I mentioned, that's exactly what you get back.
So you already know what.
I already know right away.
If I'm looking at my paper,
if you gave me your W-2, said, "Listen, I just do home care. How much can I get? How much I'm a refund going to get from the home care?" I will literally add 3 numbers up and be done.
Perfect. So now we are going to go into a second part of it, which is the mortgage interest rate that we are looking into.
Yep.
Tell us about the mortgage interest rate. আমরা যদি স্ক্রিনে দেখি মর্গেজ ইন্টারেস্ট রেট যেটি আমরা দেখছিলাম কিছুক্ষণ আগে, সেটি কি দেখা সম্ভব? ওকে দর্শক, আপনারা যেটি দেখছেন এটি হচ্ছে আমার মনে হয় 10 minutes ago we got this 10 minutes.
Yeah, this is based on 3 months.
Yeah, so 3 মাসের এটি, but we took it 15 minutes ago. So it's the most recent you can get একেবারে। বাট আপনি যেটা দেখছেন এটা গত 3 মাসের ট্রেজারি yield। গত ট্রেজারি yield কেন আমরা দেখাচ্ছি? Because treasury yield has direct correlation with housing.
It's been pretty accurate in the last couple of years.
Okay, so tell me why we're looking at
why
this.
we're looking at this, because you guys can see from the last time I went on the show, because it was actually that dip that was around 3.8, right? If we look at what it is today, it's like 4.3, right?
Correct.
Okay, so if you see what's going on is everyone is leaving the bond market. Everybody's going into the equity market. Why? The new administration, they think he's going to do great things, which is still causing the mortgage rates to go up. Why is that weird? Because there's been cuts. It's like the opposite of what you think's going on.
Yeah, I mean, it should have dropped.
We're in a crazy time right now.
Right. I mean, usually when Treasury goes down, interest rate goes down.
That's because everyone's leaving the equity markets.
Right.
It's bonds are opposite of what you think with equities.
Yeah. So I want
That's
to make
hard to explain to people.
No. I can totally understand because I've been following this for years now. But what should have happened?
Everyone should have left the equities and gone back into the bonds, and it should have sunk down.
On top of the Federal Reserve is cutting interest rate.
Correct.
So it should have dropped, but it didn't drop.
No, it should be around now. It should be 3.5.
It should have been.
It should be today.
It should be, but today. Okay, but where is the mortgage rate today?
So we are back. When we came on the show, it was 3.8. I was doing loans at 5.5. Okay. Just to give you an idea, if you look at the 10-year Treasury, right? Look at the 10-year Treasury, right? It was 3.8 at that time.
Correct.
We were talking about 5.5 when we were closing deals,
3.8, 5.5.
Just easy numbers, right? Then now we look at it. The rates are what, 5.8 right now?
Yeah.
And you look at it, it's 4.3.
Correct.
It's a direct correlation.
Right. So today, if somebody comes to you,
like easy, it's 5.875 for a single family. It's 6.125 for a 2-family.
Once again, single family, what approximate rate that
5.8.
5.8, under 6. If it is
A two-family, it's 6.125.
6.1.
Why?
Yeah.
Simple. Because on a two-family, you could just move. You could go buy another house, and that's
Okay,
why.
So
it's a risk reward.
I'm going to stay on this, on top of this one. I am afraid my paperwork is not good. I'm afraid I earn most of my money on 1099. My credit line, not line, but the score, not so great, but not bad. I'm worried that nobody's going to lend money.
You got to do your taxes correctly,
Okay.
especially if you're a 1099.
So advise people who are watching.
So look, obviously, next couple of months it's going to be crazy. It's just
Yeah.
tax season, right? But what I do with all my clients I would do taxes with is, I know what I always ask them, are you going to buy a house? Are you going to do this? Are you going to do that? So you got to know your situation, and we need to prepare correctly so you do qualify for that loan. It's all about doing taxes, especially when you're self-employed.
Okay, so basically it's all about, okay, so it is not what you're doing, how you're doing, but how you're organizing your paperwork.
It's how yes, and going to the right person to organize that paperwork and knows what they're doing, because look, I could do it a certain way where you get that loan, right?
Right.
The other person can do it another way. Same exact refunds, guys, and now you don't get the house. Okay? You have to know what you're doing. Why? Because the mortgage companies, the banks, they add back certain things, such as depreciation. If you're a medallion owner, okay, they add back what they call amortization. Okay?
Amortize.
Right.
Right.
It's a non-cash expense, but it's a tax expense. So they add it back. It increases the income. That's why you got to know to go to someone who actually knows what they're doing with this stuff, because it'll break you.
Right. So two things. If আপনি যদি prospective buyer হয়ে থাকেন, home buyer, let's say you are looking for to buy a home next year, and আপনি এখনো tax file অবশ্যই করেননি আগামী বছর, because tax file will start after January 31st, right? So আপনার প্রথম কাজ হচ্ছে organize your paperwork. Organize your paperwork. If you cannot organize, you need to sit down with a good CPA, really good CPA. Third is this: what do you think you will be ready? Is it January? Is it February? Is it March? And what you can do, meaning আপনার capacity কি, আপনি কিরকম budget নিয়ে কাজ করছেন? What's your budget? Now, the next topic that আমরা এখন touch করব, we'll talk about this next topic, which is very, very important. And this is, আমরা স্ক্রিনে দেখবো এটা, we're going to see it on the screen. And আপনারা যেটা এখন দেখছেন, এটি অত্যন্ত গুরুত্বপূর্ণ কতগুলো কারণে। আপনি একজন রিয়েল এস্টেট ব্রোকারের সাথে কাজ করবেন, আপনি একটা লোন অফিসারের সাথে কাজ করবেন, আপনি একটা সিপিএ এর সাথে কাজ করবেন। এই তিনটি জিনিস, all three things has to be a coordinated effort, যেটা বলি একসাথে, right?
Yes, exactly. But that's what I'm talking about. Like this month in December, I've been sitting down with all my clients who are looking to buy houses. We're making sure everything is done correctly and we're ready.
Right. So now, we prepared a list of things that, let's stay with the agent, real estate agent. And this person is going to play a very crucial role when it comes down to buying your choice of your property.
Correct.
And you're going to spend that house in 5 years or 10 years. You're going to have a loan, most likely 30-year fixed mortgage rate.
Right.
So it's a long investment, it's a big investment, and it's a lot of risk involved. So how do we know, I don't want to say how do you spot a bad agent, but how do I know, and I'm going to go one by one.
Okay.
This is the person, real estate person I want to work with, or this is the person I want to stay away from. So let's start with that one. What are the signs and the telltale things that I would be looking for as a prospective buyer to stay away from this guy who's a bad real estate, but I don't know yet.
Look, anybody who's trying to take control of that situation and telling you, oh, you should do this, you should do that, and not giving you the reasons behind it, and trying to tell you, oh, you need to make that offer right now, and you have to make this price, something's not right. Okay? It's just not right, right? You got to feel comfortable, right? And you have to have trust.
Okay, আমরা এটা স্ক্রিনে যদি দেখতে পারি সবসময়ের জন্য এটা ভালো হবে। So number one, you said you need to understand if this person you were telling me that this person is communicating with you. What do you mean by that?
So it's not, what I have seen in my office, and look, I'm not just CPA, right? I'm also a real estate broker. So I see the whole entire transaction.
Right.
And what I've been watching is these other brokers, these, I guess I would call them bad advisors, right?
Right.
They are not looking for your best interest. Anything, they're looking for their own best interest.
Right.
Oh, you have to make this offer. You have to do this, right? no one tells you you don't have to buy a house. You want to buy a house, right? You got to feel comfortable in the transaction. You do not want to go into this transaction and go, what am I doing?
So that when you see this, you know something is off.
Correct.
And you should be careful. Second thing you mentioned is like, this person will keep some secret and you're going to feel it, but you don't know exactly what those secrets are, and
Correct.
he's not transparent about
exactly. This is the biggest purchase of your life, right? You have to basically safeguard that, okay? And you need to basically feel comfortable, right? Everything has to be transparent, and you have to make sure you feel this person's working out for their best interest.
it. Right. Third one you mentioned is he's not going to be very accommodating you.
Correct. Anyone that says you have to make that offer, you have to make it this $30,000 above market.
Right.
Just walk away.
Walk away. Okay. The fourth you mentioned, this person you're going to play as something called delay tactic on purpose. It comes down to like as if he's like a gross negligence. So this is, and how do you know that he's delaying on purpose? Because those are the paperwork you know better than I do.
The problem is you see, like, let's talk about the buyer and seller agents, because that's really where this is coming from.
Right.
Most people I speak to, they think, hey, if I go directly to the seller's agent, right, I'm going to get a better deal. The answer is no. You're actually not going to get a better deal. And I'll give you 3 examples why, and it all happened in the last 2 months, right? One of our agents that works on us, Rima, who came on the show, right? She's the buyer's agent. She negotiates directly with the seller's agent. And guess what? When we did the appraisals, those houses with her negotiation came up $25,000 to $50,000 more. You think if you went to the seller's agent has to get the highest offer for the seller. If they don't, they could get sued.
You mentioned something. I'm looking at the list that this person that usually they rush you to close the deal, but don't consider that hey, you should actually pay attention to some of the things and give consideration before closing. But he's rushing you close. Time is time. This a good sign or a bad sign?
A very bad sign.
Why?
I'll explain to you. I had someone come to my office this week, $100,000 over market. I ran just a quick desktop appraisal just to see where it's coming on, and it's exactly what the listing price was. So this guy's $100,000 over. Okay, and he's got to sign, appraisal contingency.
Right.
It's just a bad deal, and he's getting pushed and pushed.
Okay.
Do you think that agent has his best interest?
Of course not.
No, it's got the seller's best interest.
Right. Something you said that the person who's buying the house, they should have a feel of comfort and ease. And you mentioned something that it's not a paperwork, it's not something, but sometimes you will feel that something is not right. When you have this feel, stay away from that person.
It's just a gut.
Please explain.
It's a gut feel. Remember, this is the biggest purchase. It's just a gut feel.
I mean, there's no reason to rise.
If you're nervous about anything during a transaction, that is a gut feel. All right?
And nobody has to tell you anything. You yourself
That's correct.
telling and figuring out something's not right
Correct.
here, and I should be careful.
Exactly.
When you have this feeling, stay away from it. That's what
That's really what I'm saying to you.
One thing you mentioned, and I think I see that a lot. Over-promising and underperforming.
Correct.
Can you please explain?
So you go in, you think everything's great, right? And then suddenly, the seller didn't tell us this, or they didn't do their job correctly, but somehow they make it your fault.
Okay.
You see that all the time.
Right.
Remember, they always say that. That's what I'm saying. Trust is the most important thing.
Right.
That's what with our clients we don't have this issue because we have the trust. We built it over years. But these are people you just met.
Right.
So you got to know your stuff, and you got to be.
So
you need a good advisor.
So if this person is saying, "Don't worry, I'll get that for you," I told the seller to leave that fridge in there, leave that dryer in there.
Yeah, we did a deal a couple years ago where it said, "Oh, don't worry, they're going to write this letter. The neighbor will write this letter."
Right.
That letter never got wrote.
Correct.
Okay.
Just like I know somebody who bought the house and the seller said,
this is what I
they'll
always,
replace the dryer, but never happened.
I always say, listen, if you guys find something somewhere else, right, not through us, I said, bring it to me. Let me see it before you guys go into contract.
Right.
I always say that to my clients.
So, and that's an important thing. And one thing you mentioned a few times, that when you have a question, ask.
It never hurts to ask.
Never hold back. Ask the question. You may feel embarrassed sometimes, like, oh, I feel shy about asking that question. No, this is the most important purchase of your life, maybe. If especially if you're a first-time home buyer.
Right, and look, this is like, you know, a 5, 7, 8, 900,000 purchase. When you guys go buy a car, you ask a lot of questions. You should ask even more questions this time.
Which is like $50,000,
right?
$60,000, $80,000.
Right, exactly. You should ask even more questions.
Right. So if you're asking that many questions,
exactly.
there should be 100 more questions here.
Exactly. You got to feel comfortable.
Okay, so that brings me to the other part of the equation, which is a lot of people work with seller's agent. And I mean, we're going to see on the screen. আমি চাই দেখুক আপনি আমরা যদি পরবর্তী স্ক্রিনটা দেখতে পাই যে, and you always tell me, and you know, Rima, when we talk, that never work with, if you can, work with seller's agent.
This is why that new law came into place. The 28 other states had this for many years. New York State was the last. What has always been going on is that basically the agents were like sort of splitting it, right?
Right.
But remember, now you have a seller's agent that works for the seller, must get the highest price. So that's the person you don't want to go to, right? A buyer's agent's going to get you the best price.
Right.
Okay? Not the other way around.
Right.
Just because that person's not working with the buyer's agent, you're still going to overpay with that person.
Right. So if
I'll tell you why. Because if he was going to give you the best deal, he'll be sued.
Yeah, of course.
It's that simple.
Because it's conflict of interest.
Exactly.
Right. Now, the question is, if I'm a buyer, you're a seller. Let's make believe that laptop is your seller's, as your agent. You're the seller. So you talk to your seller.
Do I trust this one?
Of course you can. But so what you want as a seller, the highest price.
I want the highest price. I want the smoothest
That's
closing.
what he's working on. Now, if I'm a buyer, how he's safeguarding my interest? His interest to safeguard you.
That's correct.
And that's what you're saying.
Exactly.
I mean,
It's a no-brainer now.
No-brainer. So
But that's why 28 other states were always built like this.
Why do some people go do that?
They think they're getting a deal when they're actually not getting a deal.
Is it because they don't have to pay that real estate broker?
This is all being exactly the same.
Exact same.
It's exactly the same.
Regardless.
I'll explain to you why.
Okay.
Okay? Now, instead of this seller agent getting, say, 4 points, right?
Right.
They're getting 2.
Perfect.
Okay? The buyer's still getting the same thing,
Right.
right? It's the same price at the end of the day.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same price.
Right.
There's no reason to even think like, oh, I have to pay this. You're going to pay it regardless.
Okay, so that brings me to a question that you must have your own broker, real estate
always should.
broker, agent, right?
Yes.
And what are the benefits that you get when that person is working for you?
One, they're working, keyword, for you. So what do you want out of the deal? You want the lowest price, right?
Of course.
By the way, they want the highest price, right? The good thing with the buyer, when you have a seller's agent and you have a buyer's agent, they can work together to make this transaction work. Why is that important, okay? Because if it doesn't work out, they both don't get paid.
Right.
It's that simple. So everyone's working for the correct parties.
Correct. So people who are watching, and a prospective buyer, what would be your advice to that
I'll
person?
actually give you a much better example, right? I'll have a lot of clients that call me and say, hey, listen, I want to buy this house. I get involved, I'm the buyer's agent, and that's because that's how it is. And I strike out the best deal.
And that's how simple it is.
It is that simple.
Right. So,
but remember, my clients, I already have to trust my clients, so there's nothing scary about it.
Right. I'm not going to beat the dead horse because I know we are sitting, this is what, December 13th? So the January, the tax preparation, not for you, but for the people who are actually planning to file as soon as possible. If you were to tell them anything today,
I would tell everybody who's looking to buy a house next year or might buy a house next year, meet with somebody and talk about it before the end of December. We have to make certain adjustments to make this stuff happen. Okay? That's why December is so important.
Right.
Furthermore, don't rush the file. Put it on extension. Because here's the thing. You don't know what size house you're going to buy. You don't know how much the property taxes are, right? You don't know what the mortgage interest is going to be. Don't make that mistake and file.
Right. So, আপনারা যারা দেখছেন, আপনি এখনো জানেন না, আপনি বাড়ি খুঁজছেন, আপনার বাজেট could be 500, 600. But maybe you like something that is 700,000.
It's happened.
It happens.
It's happened. Like either one of the spouses fall in love with this house, they had to have it.
Yeah. But now you already filed.
Correct. There's no point. You're going to have the same situation. And remember, if you file in January 27th, the first day, even if you owe money, it doesn't come out till April anyways.
Right. So, what Michael is saying, আপনি যদি January 27 ফাইল করে দেন ট্যাক্স, আপনার পয়সা কিন্তু আসছে না এপ্রিলের আগে. Now, there are some exceptions. How about electronic?
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. What do you mean?
So perfect example. I filed your taxes, just say normal taxes,
yeah.
right? 27th. It doesn't matter. Payments still don't come out till April anyways.
Right. So how about those electronic files?
That's what I'm talking about.
That's also the same.
27th.
27th you file.
Yeah, and what we do in my office, we file everybody on extension so we don't have this problem.
Okay, so especially people যারা আপনারা বাসা খুঁজছেন, আপনি যদি 27ও ফাইল করে ফেলেন, কিছু যায় আসে না। প্রবলেমটা হচ্ছে আপনি একটা বাসা পছন্দ করেছেন, এখন আপনি এর চেয়ে বেটার ডিল পেয়েছেন। You got a better deal. But this costs a little bit more. এখন আপনি যখন ট্যাক্স ফাইল করে ফেলবেন, আপনার কিন্তু একটা ট্যাক্স ব্র্যাকেট হয়ে গেল। But if you did not file a tax, আপনি একটা এক্সটেনশন নিয়ে রেখেছেন, and you like a house that is a little bit higher on price, you can always adjust. Is
That's
that what you're
correct.
saying?
There are no amendments when you're going to start trying to do this on a mortgage, okay? It's never going to work.
There's a wider range of belief that once they file, they can always amend.
No, they can't because there's a red flag on Fannie and Freddie Mac.
They can't.
It's a red flag. You have to say why, unless I'm increasing income with a real 1099.
Right. Real 1099. Right.
Try to get that in June.
You know, Freddie and Fannie may become private. You know that, right?
They've been saying that for years.
We don't know. We don't know. I hope they don't, because a lot of people do rely on it, and if they become private, I'm not sure.
You're not going to see the wholesale market anymore.
That's correct.
You know, if you go to Chase Bank, you go to TD Bank, you're going to see different rates than say I can get you guys because I'm on the wholesale line, right? That won't exist anymore. It's called balance sheet lending.
Correct. We are at the end. So, do you have any advice for people who are watching, prospective home buyers, and especially the question that gentleman had with the Homecare question about his filing taxes, and should they be worried or should they not be worried? And actually, they should be happier. What would be your advice?
Yeah, no. Look, Homecare, I think you guys are going to get actually a better deal. The people who work for Homecare, not the people who own the agencies.
Right.
But look, it's still December. We still have time. Look, if you guys are not sure about certain things, or you're looking to buy a house or something like that, listen. Just make an appointment in my office. We'll do a year-end thing and make adjustments that we need to do.
Wonderful, Mike. I have to say goodbye to you, and I have to say goodbye to everybody else. We'll meet next time. We're gonna have breakdown, and we're gonna have more rulings, and so I hope some changes are done.
Yeah, I mean, look, we're running into tax season,
Correct.
right? So things are gonna change. That's probably more we're gonna be going.
Right. এই পর্যন্ত আজকে এই পর্যন্ত ছিল। সবাই ভালো থাকবেন। শুভরাত্রি।
TBN 24 টেলিভিশন দেখতে আজই কল করুন 7187776556 লগ ইন করুন www.totalcablebd.com।
নিউ ইয়র্ক থেকে সম্প্রচারিত TBN 24 টেলিভিশন বিশ্বজুড়ে বাঙালির কণ্ঠস্বর।